Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutrabhashya Kritav Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punah. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Bhashyakara Shankaracharya has been answering the 7 questions that the student posed. And he had already talked about anatma, atma, bondage. And the discussion on how does this bondage come about, that started from verse 139. And then we continued with a beautiful poetic description. Mahamohagraha grasanagalita atma yo nanavastam swayam abhinayan tad gunataya apare samsare vishaya vishapure jalanidau nimajyon majyayam Brahmati kumatihi kuksigatihi. The unintelligent person whose self-knowledge has been swallowed by the crocodile of great delusion. He superimposes the attributes on himself, the attributes of the body, which happens to be due to total with the buddhi and its conditions. Because of that identification and superimposition, he repeatedly drowns in the waters of poisonous sense objects and struggles. If he goes down and stays there, no problem. But he comes up, catches breath, to be pulled down again. This struggle goes on and on. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm happy, a little bit of glimpses of happiness here and there, so I go after. And that lands me in bigger trouble. Go down again. Like that. Struggle continues. And then he gave another example also. Banu Prabha Samjanita Prapanktihi Banum Tirodaya Vijrumbate Yata Atmodita Aham Kritir Atma Tattvam Tata Tirodaya Vijrumbate Swayam. Just as how the clouds, those clouds are actually formed by the heat of the sun, but they get up in the sky and is able to cover the sun. Similarly, the ignorance of the self, that ignorance of the self itself is illumined by that consciousness, but it covers it as it were. And then error is a product. And that covers the Atma completely. Then another poetic description also was given. Vikshepa Shakti Kevalita Dinanate Durdine Sandramegaihi Vyatayati Himajamja Vayurugro Yataitan Abhirata Tamasatmani Avrite Mudha Buddhim Kshapayati Bahudukkaihi Tibra Vikshepa Shakti. You're talking about the Vikshepa Shakti. Just as the dense, dark clouds are whipped up by the wind, by a snowstorm, in that blizzard, and then the downpour, either snow showers or just rain, heavy rain, we suffer. Similarly, when Atma is covered by the dense darkness of ignorance, then the powerful Vikshepa Shakti, the projecting power, agitating power, disturbing power, it takes over, torments us, afflicts us, tortures the unintelligent person. It gives him so many problems, so many worries, anxiety. Then Shankaracharya concludes, Etabhyameva Shaktibhyam Bandhav Pumsaha Samagataha Yabhyam Vimohita Deham Matvatmanam Brahmatyayam. Because of these twofold powers, Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti, the veiling power and projecting power, the bondage has come about. And this poor jiva is deluded. He takes himself to be the body. Roams about through countless births, repeated birth. Maranam. Like that it goes on. Now, how does this bondage continue? Let us see. Verse 145. Bijam samsriti bhujamijasya tutama dehamadir ankuraha. Bijam samsriti bhumijasya tutamaha dehatmadir ankuraha. Ragav pallavamambu karmatu vapuhu skando savah shakkiha shakikaha. Agranindriya संहतिश्च विषया पुष्पाणि दुःखं फलम् नानाकर्मसमुद्भवं बहुविधं भोक्तात्र जीवः कः बीजं संसृति भूमिजस्य तु तमः देहात्मधीराङ्कुरः रागः पल्लवमम्बुकर्म तु वपुः स्कन्धोऽसवशाकिकः अग्राणीन्द्रियसंहतिश्च विषयाः पुष्पाणि दुःखं फलम् नानाकर्मसमुद्भवं बहुविधं भोक्तात्र जीवः कगः. Bhashyakara has discussed about Atma, as I said, Anatma first and then Atma, Bandha and Bandha Karanam. Now he enters the fifth topic, and that topic is Katam Pratishtha. How is this bondage sustained? How does it continue? When we see the nature, anything that is there in creation has a natural death. Even our problems in life, it comes, even if you do not do anything, that problem seems to go away. Struggle with it for a little while and then goes away. We may wonder, perhaps, just maybe, it may happen, this ajnana and the error, this samsara also one day will go away, even if we do nothing about it. It'll go by itself. Just hoping. Suppose I don't study Vedanta. I don't get this sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, all these necessary qualifications. I don't go out of my way to prepare myself for these studies. I don't come to Jnana Marga. I don't get the self-knowledge. Will not this samsara, this ignorance, end one day? Will it happen? Won't it happen? Just as all the rivers eventually find their way and merge with the ocean, will I not merge into that Lord? One day or the other. Because we read that all jivas are all traveling towards God. They're all traveling to God only. Everybody will be liberated one day. Here Shankaracharya says, no can do. There is no question of natural death for ignorance. And there is no question of natural death for this error. There is no question of natural end to samsara. You gotta do something about it. Loud and clear, he says. So, this 45 answers. Katam Pratishtha. The fifth question. How is this bondage sustained? Bhashyakara conveys this idea through a metaphor. And in this metaphor, the samsara is compared to a huge tree. Most of you will immediately recognize. We have seen it a couple of different places. You may remember that samsara being compared to a tree. It's done in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Urdhva moolamada shakam ashvattam prahurapyayam. We've seen that elaborate discussion we had. And that itself, that Gita verse, is really borrowed from Kathopanishad. And that also we studied. Most of you studied with me, Kathopanishad. Elaborate discussion and description of the samsara vriksha. In several places, this analogy is given, and that is being given here also. Samsrishti bhumijasya. Bhumijaha. Bhumijaha means something that comes out of bhumi, the earth. Plants and trees come out of the earth. You put the seed in, and boom, out of it comes a little tender plant, and it grows to a huge tree. So another word for tree is bhumijaha, born out of earth. The samsara is comparable to, is compared to a tree. For this samsara vriksha, samsara tree, the bijam, the seed. The seed is tu tamaha, indeed this ignorance. Or to be precise, the avarana shakti of ajnana, the veiling power of ignorance, covers your true self. When there is the seed, you should talk about everything that comes out. First comes out what? A sprout. And dehatmadihi ankuraha. Dehatmadhihi. The notion that I am the body. Deha atma buddhi. The notion that I am the body, that is the sprout. That is where it all starts from. I take this body to be me. The body is myself. This false notion is ankuraha. Then raga pallavam, attachment. Raga is like the tender leaf, pallavam, that grows out of a sprout. Once I am the body notion comes, body is after all matter. And the world is also matter. One matter will have a relationship with another matter. All that goes on. The child has a mother-child relationship. But like that, there is no such Atma-mother relationship. Does Atma have a mother? Where is the mother of Atma? No, it does not have. So the physical body has a mother, even Sukshma Sharira, subtle body, does not have a mother. They are all beginningless. The attachment of the tender leaves of all relationship to the body only that grows out of this sprout of the false notion that I am the body. Then vapuhu, the physical body, is skandha, the trunk, the central portion of the samsara vriksha, samsara tree. It is centered around the body alone that all other activities happen. Just as the trunk is a central portion of the huge tree, the body is a central part. And once the body is gone, there are no more activities. Then Ashavash Shakikaha. Ashavaha means the pranas. Pranas are the branches of the tree. Branches are many. Pranas are also many. Some pranas moving up, some moving down. One prana goes up, another prana goes down. Prana, apana, udana, vyana, samana. We have seen all that. Like that, like the branches that spread all over. Shakaha. The tip of these branches, agrani indriya shamatischa, and agrani, the end portion of the branches, there are these nodular buds. They are the sense organs. They are the sense organs. These alone are the flowers and fruits to come. So those flowers are compared to Vishayaha Pushpani, the sense objects which enter the mind. Once a flower has come, the fruits are not too far off. Similarly, once the world of sense objects has entered the mind, the dukkham palam naturally come. We usually say sukha dukkha or the fruits. Some sense object produce pleasure also, joy also, joy giving. Sense objects produce pain, but Shankaracharya is not ready to accept the sukha part at all. He just said dukkha palam, period, as the only fruit in samsara. And we have seen in Bhagavad Gita also, 5th chapter, it was said, any joy, the sorrow is just hiding behind that. He said that. So, why, what to mention? Why to mention this sukha? Dukkha yoni. We saw that. Dukkham palam is the only fruit in samsara. Now, the water nourishing the tree, that is said in the second line. I had skipped that before. Let's read that. Ambu karma. Ambu karma. Action. Karma, action. Good and bad actions are the waters. So even though in this birth we are exhausting our karmas, the problem is, even as the sanchita karmas are exhausted, a part of the sanchita karma has fructified as prarabdha, and in this life that prarabdha will be exhausted. We are getting rid of some of that karma. But during this process, during this lifetime, we perform so many actions, and the phala from that, not all of them we experience right here and now. So we are creating agami karma, karma that are to come in the future. So we not only exhaust through prarabdha karma, but we accrue through agami karma. So in that way we nourish samsara tree, unless you do something about it. We are talking about an ignorant person just living the life without any clue. So such people, they perform actions, and the results of that action, if not experienced in this birth, gets added. They are called agami karma. That way, that balance never goes down. And this also explains. This is the explanation for varieties of phalams experienced by different people. All of us are here, 30, 40 people. All of our life experiences are very different. They are not the same. No two person had identical life. Now, if you think about it, Atma, that is the same. Anatma, the world that we live in, it's the same for everyone. Ignorance, we're not talking about worldly knowledge, worldly ignorance. We're not talking about that. Talking about the ignorance of the self. All of us came and we had no clue about our true self. In that way, that ignorance is the same. And bondage, same for all. So this way you see everything is the same, but how do you explain the different types of sorrows experienced? I'm just sticking with sorrows in line with Shankaracharya. Of course, all of us have different experiences of joy also. So Shankaracharya says, Nana karma samudbhavam. Karma is not uniform. Therefore, the dukkham is also not uniform. We all do different things. So quantitatively also sorrow varies. Qualitatively also sorrow varies. As I said, he mentions dukkham only as the palam. He does not include sukham as palam. Therefore, there is no such thing as pleasure from the world. According to Gita, I've already mentioned, even the so-called pleasure is a potential pain. Because yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkayonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Every pleasure is a seed of pain. Hence, according to Vedanta, pleasure is another name for potential pain. That's all. There is no pleasure at all except in one place, and that is Atma alone. The only source of Ananda is Atma. And Anatma is not the source of Ananda. Anatma is the source of Anananda. It's sorrow only. So karma palam is always dukkham only. There is no sukham. This is another way of looking at it. Now, if there are fruits, question will come. Who are the consumers of that fruit? In a normal tree, the fruits of the tree are enjoyed by birds. Birds come down, perch on the trees, and they enjoy the fruits. And of course, we do. He says, Jivaha bhokta atra kagaha. Every jivatma is a kagaha. Kagaha means bird. We are all the birds that taste the fruits of the samsara tree. So just as the birds are seated on the branches of a tree and eat the fruits, similarly the jiva bird seated on this samsara tree and they experience the dukkha pala. Again, those few who have studied Mundakopanishad, it's been a while. I've taken this class for the Salisbury group, but it's been quite a while, maybe almost 10 years ago. There a beautiful description comes. We'll be studying Mundakopanishad. In the not too distant future, we will study beautiful metaphor is there. Dva suparna sayuja sukhaya samanam vriksham parishas vachate vachate tayor anyaha pippa anashnan annayo abhichakar kashiti. Two birds are sitting on the tree. One bird is eating the fruits. Some of them are sweet, some of them are bitter, goes through all that. The other one, just sitting there, not eating anything, just observing. So one is the Jiva bird, the other is, we can call Ishvara bird. Like that beautiful description is given, metaphor is given. We will study that. We'll look at it a lot more carefully at that time. The Jivatma bird and the Paramatma bird. Here the Paramatma bird discussion is not there, just a description about Jivatma. whose bondage is being sustained. Paramatma is just a witness without being a bhokta. So this is a beautiful description of how that bondage is sustained because of our actions, essentially. Continuing, verse 146. Ajnanamulo yamanatmabandha Ajnanamulo yamanatmabandha Naisargo kinadirananantayiritaha Naisargiko nadiranantayiritaha Janmapya jan Janmapyayavyadi Janmapyayavyadi Pravahapatam janayatyamushya Pravahapatam janayatyamushya Ajnanamulo yamanatmabandha Naisargiko nadiranantayiritaha Janmapyayavyadi Pravahapatam janayatyamushya. So with verse 145, the fifth topic of Bandhasya Pratishta, that is over. How samsara is sustained, we saw. Now, two more topics are left. Khatam vimoksha. Okay. We saw how bondage came about, how it is sustained. But we need to get out of it too. Katam vimoksha. How do you get out of this bondage? So that is the sixth topic, and the last topic is tayoho vivekaha. Katam etad uchyatam. How to distinguish between those two. We will discuss that later. Now here the question discussed in this verse is Katam vimoksha. How can we get out of this bondage? Very important question. In the previous shloka, it was pointed out that it is not just going to go away. That point was made very clear. It just doesn't go away. You have to do something about it. Moksha is not a natural or an automatic event. It requires effort. It requires will. It requires initiative. All that is required. That is why we call moksha as purushartha. All of you remember Chaturvida Purushartha, and moksha is the Parama Purushartha, the supreme, in fact, the only Purushartha, the effort that we need to put. We do not accept even moksha as God's will. Bhakti Shastra and all that, they talk about all the grace, blessings. God willing, everything will happen. We quite often say, all that is fine. If you take one step, Bhagwan takes two steps for you. So 0 times 2 is what? 0. 0 times infinity is still 0. He is willing to do that part, but so Purushartha is very important. It's neither a natural process nor God's will or some Mahatma blessing you, touching you, his kataksha, you will get nothing like that. Your effort, your accomplishment. Then does it mean God's grace is not necessary? We never say that too. We say God's grace can function only as a booster to your will. God's will and God's grace can never replace our will. It'll boost, it'll strengthen your efforts, no question about it. Anyway, coming to this question, Katam vimoksha. How to be free of bondage? Moksha is possible with an appropriate effort on the part of the jiva. And that appropriate effort is called sadhana. Sadhana. That effort must be adequate, appropriate, and sustaining. Should be done for a long time. The direction also should be proper. Sufficiently for a long time. That is what we call sadhana. It's not a 5-minute job, going to church once on Sunday. No, that's not going to cut it. To talk about the appropriateness of the effort, you should know the nature of bondage. To know appropriateness of the medication, you should know the nature of the disease. And the proper medication depends upon proper diagnosis. All these things are there. In the same way, all the confusions in religion are because nobody or most of the teachers do not discuss the nature of samsara. They just give some prescription. Follow me. I'm your leader. That doesn't work. And we've heard so many different versions of it. One person says karma yoga gives moksha. Second person says meditation, dhyana will give you moksha. Third one says kundalini yoga. You work on this way, you do this sadhana, the kundalini will rise and boom, you will be liberated. And that's moksha. Another one who says, bhakti is, I tell you, you just sit and cry there. Bhagavan will take care of it. None of them ask the question, why am I suffering? If I understand what the problem is, you can come up with an appropriate solution to the problem. Then another person says, all those people are fanatic people claiming their path alone leads to moksha. We accept all paths. Anything is okay. Thus, we have all kinds of confusion. Because of what? Because we have not understood the problem. Cause of bondage. So that is the discussion we had. The root cause of all bondage is ajnanam, ignorance, ignorance of the self. If ignorance is the cause, what do you think will be the solution? Knowledge. Knowledge alone will be the solution. So if I say knowledge is the solution, I'm not a fanatic. If you say you should worship only Lord Krishna, Krishna alone, no other God, then such a person is a fanatic. Someone says Jesus alone is the savior. He's a fanatic. And that's what we are seeing. All these religious strifes is because of that. But our scriptures very clearly say we cannot have several means of liberation. Ignorance is cause of bondage, so knowledge would be the means of liberation. Jnanat evat kaivalyam. Liberation is through knowledge alone. And what about all the other sadhanas? Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, all that. What about that? They are all good in their own way. They are not the direct means of liberation. They're all preparation for knowledge. This I've talked about many, many times. They prepare you for knowledge, but you have to get the knowledge. So the real means, the sakshat sadhana, the direct, the nature of bondage is, I am anatma bandha. This bondage of ours is in the form of anatma abhimana, identification with the not self. The bondage is in the form of mistaking the body as myself. This self-error is bondage. Bondage is in the form of error. You have to correct that. It's caused by the ajnana mula, the root of ignorance. If bondage is a tree, the samsara vriksha, we just saw the beautiful description. This ajnanam, ignorance is the root. Without removing the root of ajnanam, without uprooting that, if you just cut the branches, that is just treating the symptoms. Underlying cause you have not removed. Cut the branches, it will grow back. This way, you will never get moksha. I've done so many things, but nothing works. That's because you have not gone to the root of the problem. Ajnana mula. The root is the ignorance. This bondage is naisargagikaha, has been there naturally from birth itself. This bondage is there right from birth of the body. We have taken this body because of that ignorance. You don't acquire this ignorance after birth. It comes along with your birth. It's a congenital disease. It's not acquired later. It is there as you are born. Naisargikaha, since birth. Why did or when did it all begin? No answer. It is anadi, beginningless. I cannot take this birth as the beginning because the birth itself is because of ignorance. In this Janma also it is there. In the previous Janma also it was there. And if you don't do anything about it, future Janmas will be there and the saga continues. How long will it continue? It is Ananta Iritaha, said to be endless. It is endless, should be understood properly. You should carefully understand that. Otherwise, it will create problems. If you take it literally, if samsara is endless, then we cannot get moksha. If we cannot get moksha, any sadhana is futile. So why am I doing all this? You will ask. Okay. So you understand this statement properly. Understand endless means it doesn't have a natural end. It won't go by itself. If you do something about it, if you put your efforts, the right effort for sufficiently long time in the proper direction, you can put an end to it. But you cannot just hope something will happen. It's endless means it does not have a natural end, like the body. If you don't like this body, you don't have to do anything about it. It will go away one day or the other. It will go. So many. Everything that is born will die. What this body? What things in this? Even planets and stars, sun, brilliant sun, that will go away. It take a long time. Either it will explode or it will contract. It will become a white dwarf or a red giant, all that they say. Even the sun will have an end. A different type of end. And for what should you do? Nothing naturally. Now, bondage does not have an end like that, natural end like that. It is said in the 15th chapter of the Gita, na rupamasyeha tatopalabhyate nanto na chadir na cha sampratishta ashvattamenam subirudha moolam asanga shastrena dhridena chitva. The samsara or bondage has no end or beginning. This bondage, janma, apyaya, vyadhi, jaradi, dukkha, pravaha, patam, janayati. It creates pravaha patam, the stream of samsara, the river of samsara. And it consists of janma, birth, apyaya, death, and in between, vyadhi, disease, jara, old age, and adi, and more, dukkha, suffering. All that is there. When we read all this, when I talk about like this, Anantji, you're depressing me. I don't come to these classes to get depressed. There is no question of getting depressed or oppressed. Okay? Yeah, we are just looking at things as they are, and we learn from that. The means are also how to overcome that. Before that, we set the stage, that's all. Okay, don't get depressed. Therefore, the pain in the form of birth, death, diseases, old age, it's like a stream. Not in the form of a flowing stream, but pravaha patam, like a waterfall. Stream indicates that it is continuous, and fall indicates it's so powerful. All these problems, anatma bandhaha janayati, are generated by amushya for this jiva, not just human beings. We are talking about, in general, about our situation, but it includes all jivas, animals and plants. The jivas in them eventually will, at a later time, may take a human birth also. The nature of bondage is discussed for the purpose of establishing an appropriate solution. Okay? So, as I said, don't be disheartened by this description. It is just to alert us. Okay? Give us an awareness so that we will be motivated to seek relief. That's the idea. That discussion, we will take it up in the next class. So you please look forward to some after this session today. Look forward to some great relief. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.